Hello, friends. I am Chevee. Welcome to my shed. How are you today? How's life in your world? How's things where you are? Let me know in the comments. Everything here is good. Today, I wanted to talk about programming stuff in this particular problem that I'm having, but I realized that those videos leave a whole lot of people in the dark because I say a lot of words that don't make sense to normal people. And I know that a fair bit of you are techie or programming people, but that doesn't make it okay or whatever. I'd rather reach a broader audience. So instead, I'm going to focus on something that M taught me, but I think it was something I already knew. And that is hold on to a little something, right? Like, and what I mean by that is everything that we do is a task. And whether it's programming with a list of tasks that need done, or it's chores, or it's your day job, or it's your relationship, there's tasks that need to be done. And some of those tasks are much bigger than others. For instance, I need to finish this room over here. But I also need to wipe down the kitchen counters. Right? And so as you're working through the bigger task and it's becoming overwhelming and you're starting to get flustered, often just stop. Or when that happens, just stop and go do one of the little tasks. Go do one of the little things. And so you hold on to that little something as like this is my reward task. This is a thing that I can do quickly to make myself feel better and to kind of let go of the stress of trying to complete the bigger thing. And I use this all of the time. Like, in all aspects of my life. That is a trick I taught myself a long, long time ago. But for some reason, it never occurred to me to do it at work. Or it just didn't, I will get stuck on a task that is challenging, and I will stay on that task until it's done. And I will frustrate myself, and I will stay awake at night, and I will, lose, important together time with my family because I'm thinking about this task I need to finish. And I forgot that trick. And so we were talking about it the other day, and Em said, I've got this, what I do is I'll have a couple of little tasks that I know how to accomplish. I just haven't done them yet. I'll set those aside, and when I need a break, when I need a win, I will go finish one of those, and I will get a W, and it'll make me feel better about myself, and then I can go back to the bigger task. And I was just like, oh, yeah, that makes perfect sense. Because I do it all the time. I've always called it active procrastination, where I will procrastinate on the bigger task by doing smaller tasks. But in that case, active procrastination typically means I'm not doing the bigger task at all. I'm just setting it aside. What I'm talking about here, saving that little thing, is when you're really swamped in that bigger task, when you're really just lost. Sometimes it's best to just take a break. And that's often what I will do, is just walk away for a while, go do something else, like read or walk the dog or whatever. And generally when my brain is in that state, I can fix whatever the problem is. So, setting something little aside as a reward, as that little, you got to get that little dopamine hit every now and then. Oh, I did this thing, I'm so cool. And then you can go back to the big thing. It works. It works really, really well. Except for... So now we can pivot to what I was going to talk about, and hopefully I don't lose any of you. I'm going to try to keep this as general as possible. I kept this one task aside. I've reached the point in my work with Component Studio, which is the side thing I've been working on. I've reached this point where the tasks that are remaining on the list are pretty big things. They're things that need a lot of research because they're bugs that are really obscure. Or they are big changes, or whatever. So I was working on this one that is this very tricky thing to figure out. And I noticed there was this little task to fix the math on a progress bar. We have a progress bar, and when you do a task, goes from 0 to 100, and then it's done. And then but that progress bar is sometimes stops at like 30%, and then suddenly the task is done, or it goes to 100% and the task keeps running. And it just seemed like, oh, that should be a pretty easy fix. I'll set that aside as my little reward task. So I was working on the big task, and I got hung up, and I hit a roadblock that I didn't quite understand, and I pivoted and said, well, let's just go take care of this little progress bar thing. 5 hours later, I still don't have a fix in place for this progress bar. I made 2 different versions. They both kind of worked, but they had this edge case where, the progress tick would tick so fast that it would outrun the animation, and so the bar would get to halfway, and then the task was done. And that's exactly what we're trying to avoid. We'd like for it to go from, progressively up, and then you're done. And that kicked my butt. It's still kicking my butt. I have the fix in place. The problem with it is, it's not a problem. The thing is, I have the fix in place, and it works, but I have to test it 4 different ways, and within each of those 4 ways, there are multiple other ways I need to test to make sure that it's doing what it's supposed to do. Theoretically, if it passes the first test, it will pass the others, but there's unique fringe scenarios in there where I need to adjust things slightly. And man, talk about deflating. When this is my reward task. This is the thing that I'm supposed to go do to just be like, oh, cool, I still know how to program, and I'll fix that, and I'll go back to the big thing. No, it is thoroughly just whipping me. And so I was typing last night. I pushed another version of it last night, and I said this works except for this one fringe case where the user unselects a whole bunch of stuff, and then that race thing happens. And I'm typing that out, and I was like, I really don't know how to fix this unless we do something like this. And then after I typed that response, I went, oh, I know how to fix it. It's really not that difficult to fix. If I'd have just thought of, I had to go through these 2 iterations of trying to fix it before I realized and type out a whole bunch of messages on this issue before I went, oh, I know how to fix it. Duh. And it's just one of those moments in time where it's like, we just had a video last week that said I'm not an imposter. We've had videos recently where I talked about being, having difficulty thinking because of chronic fatigue and that sort of stuff. This is just like, man, this was supposed to be my reward. It's just a stupid progress bar. Yeah. Do you save reward tasks, things that you can do when you get stuck on something else? Do you pocket little things like that to give yourself that success? Let me know. It's actually a pretty good strategy, and I suggest using it for lots of things in your life if you don't use it. But let me know if you've used that strategy in the comments. Thank you for being here as always. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, being amazing friends and wonderful people. I really appreciate you. And I'll see you again tomorrow. Today's word you should know to sound smart is officious. It is an adjective meaning asserting authority or power in an obnoxious, overbearing, or pompous manner. There is immunity in reading, immunity in formal society, in office routine, in the company of old friends, and in the giving of officious help to strangers. But there is no sanctuary in one bed from the memory of another. Cyril Connolly, a British literary critic and writer. Officious. O-F-F-I-C-I-O-U-S. Okay, that's a cool word and all, but I have no idea what that quote's supposed to mean. I'd have to study that to really unravel what the person was saying, and to me that's a sign of bad authorship. Maybe poetic authorship, but whatever.